To the podcast, hablemos de lo nuevo. For the G's, by the G's, que pasa en el terreno. Vienen jugadores y se van, traiga lo nuevo. A huevo. Doesn't matter where you from. Salvador, Mexico, Honduras, Nicaragua. Todo mi latino, come and listen for an hour. TikTok, que traemos lo que quiere. Todo lo que pasa dentro y fuera de las redes. Really? You don't know what it is. Reportamos con la lupa what we see at the digs. En las buenas y en las malas yo diré la verdad. Si cometen un error o tienen habilidad, la calidad del rival cuando viene a jugar. Facts. Yo no me muerdo la lengua. Got love for the crest in the city I came from. Los campeones de campeones y con copas mi race. No empezamos el programa, soy la voz de LA1. Soy la voz de LA1. Love. Yeah.
Hello, hola, and buenas, and welcome back a otro capítulo de La Cuna Galaxiana. This is going to be La Cunita. This is our very first instant reaction. Thank you for being here with us. I'm one of your co-hosts, Rob Jalon. You can find my written work at Extra Time, and you can find me online at El Escudero, the LA. Today, we're going to be reacting to getting it all off our chest. The Galaxy's 2-2 draw against Minnesota, a game which they started very, very dismally. They kind of turned it around, had a chance to win it, and didn't really see it home. And wouldn't you know it, our old friend set pieces came back to haunt us, and that's where the game would end 2-2. But before we get into everything, please let me welcome back my co-host, El Yerno Guapo, El Gitano Perdido, and my co-host, as always, Ananda Kirana. ¿Cómo te sientes, papá?
I'm okay, man. I wish for a better result. That was, especially in the first half, that was not a fun game to watch. And I'm going to be honest, man. I'm slightly worried. I think that's going to be my 1.5 word match reaction is worrying, pero in parentheses, slightly. And we'll get into that. Hopefully, I think chat's already on fire, Rob. They're bringing up some really, really important points. Like we said, chat, this is an instant reaction, right? Like we've had an hour. It's been an hour and a half post the final whistle.
The wound is still raw.
And the flesh wound is still raw off of that one, especially in the position that we're in. But yeah, unfortunately, Rob, some of the signs are slightly worrying. And again, I want to let chat sort of give us the inspiration today and kind of feed off of their energy and what they're saying, because I think this is a good representation of even what I'm seeing on X, right? And unfortunately, what I'm seeing from X2 from that other team is getting quite annoying, but they be petty like that. But anyways, let's not go down that rabbit hole.
Oh, we'll be here for hours. I haven't seen anything. You gotta let me know. Give me the cheese.
I'll put you. But basically, it's I saw a tweet that what said it's LAFC's worst start to the season and Galaxy's supposed best in years, and they are ahead of us on goal difference. So
that's not shade. That's low key facts. I mean, like, this team hasn't been good for a decade, and LAFC has been good except for that one season that didn't make the playoffs. So I mean, duela que le duela. We got to say facts. When we got to on this pod, we got to say how it is. Like when they do well, and we say, hey, gloriosos, están haciendo bien. But when they don't, we got to call it out too. So like, we had our fun at the beginning of the season when we were riding high in first place. All the Galaxy fans were out here and rightly so praising the team. And now the team is facing some adversity, and now it's kind of back to feeling reality a little bit. And again, it's like we talked about Mark Delgado at the beginning of the season. He was playing lights out, and now that he hasn't picked up a couple assists anymore, and he hasn't gotten a goal, people are like, oh, Mark needs to pick it up. No, I think he returned to mean. And I think this team returned to mean. I think somebody said it best. There was a honeymoon period, and now the honeymoon period's over. And now it's grinding out results and getting points. The team has talent. They'll find their way. They'll get the victories. But they've had 8 of 13 games on the road. It's going to get better. The team's going to click. So I'm not worried, but facts are facts.
Yeah, that's true. And Rob, before I ask you for your one-word match reaction, I'm gonna put some out right now on the screen there from chat. So Leo just simply says, "Ugh." Gary says, "Sad." Ramizes is stressing.
Sad.
I mean, I'm
That first
almost
half.
there. That first half, I was stressing for sure.
That first half had me like that. I was like, my wife was like, "Are you all right?" I'm like, no, not at all.
It was awful. It was awful. I saw the stat. I'll pull up the stats in a second when we get to that point. But yeah, man. I mean, it's crazy. So yeah, Chad, go ahead and keep putting your one-word match reactions there in there. But Rob, I'm just gonna feed off of the chat because, like I said, we don't have an agenda, guys. We don't have any shout outs or anything like that. This is just a La Cunita. This is like truly La Cunita. We're not lying, right? Like or like we always do, like, oh, it's a La Cunita, but let's go an hour and a half, because we love to talk about the Galaxy. But here, I'm gonna put this comment up. This is really good. Gary Cameron says, "We have yet to dominate a game from start to finish, and it's as if this team needs to get punched in the mouth to get some sort of reaction out of them." You know what, Rob? He brings up. I'm trying to think back now, and chat, you can go ahead and help me too. But I want to say the only complete 90-minute game that we had was San Jose 3-1 in the beginning of the season, second game of the season. Other than that, I can't think of like a full 90-minute performance. We've had halves, like good halves, where we either came back or preserved leads, but I can't think of another solid 90-minute performance.
There has not been.
And to that point, if I really think about it, if I'm at that critical, since that 3-1 road win, all of our road performances have been like either comebacks or sort of, scraping and clawing just to get points. I mean, we haven't
Not San Jose.
Other than San Jose, right. Other than that game. But since that point, I don't think we've been very good or consistently good enough to, get all 3 points, especially in a lot of those games. Trying to backtrack now what road win we had other than San Jose. Oh, I guess the St. Louis was that? No, sorry, SKC. That was the other. But again, that was like a crazy comeback, right? In the last 20, 30
SKC
minutes of that
was
game.
A comeback. RSL was a comeback. We had
to
crawl back, not from 2 goals, but from a dismal first half. Adam says,
go ahead.
Oh, I was going to call out something that Adam said. Winless in 3 games. And that's true. I mean, the optimist in me also wants to be like, that's 3 games unbeaten as well. But like I called it on the last pod. I mean, I knew it was going to be a tough game, and I did call a tie. I believe a couple of you guys out there actually called the 2-2. I think it was actually our homie Tony Toscano that called a 2-2. I could be wrong on that one, but you know what? We knew it was going to be difficult. So and it turned out to be. We just didn't know how difficult they would make it on themselves.
Yeah, Ramírez, por el equipo se me sube la presión.
Papá, necesito esa medicina de la tensión.
Exactamente. Let's see. So, see anything in there in the chat, Rob?
Well, before we go any further, shout out to everybody in the chat, and thank you so much for hanging with us on this very first instant reaction. Stephen Moss says, terrifying. Yeah, I agree. That first half was
that first half for sure was terrible. Yep, for sure.
I put out a tweet being like, a bunch of possession, 0 shots on target, not even a sniff, and it just looked like it wasn't going to happen. But then again, we've gone through those periods, like SKC, so I should have had a little more faith,
Yeah, for sure. Rob, so I'm going to actually hone in on this. This could be a little topic that we talk about. So Darren says, Paintsil frustrated after his latest performances, ? And then Leo followed that up with, ever since the killer talk started with San Jose, it immediately disappeared. Remember, JP with, the killer comments around that time period. Let's talk about Paintsil, man. I mean, I think you mentioned on your tweet that we took him off. He was feeling, was it his hamstring?
Yeah, Greg said that it was a hamstring tightness, and it was mostly precautionary. Hopefully that doesn't develop the wrong way.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like it's too serious. I think they're just being careful because there is another game on Saturday against Charlotte, you know?
Yeah, but I think we've missed him the last few games, man. I think he's been, unfortunately, somewhat invisible. Especially, think about the last game. This game, maybe he was dealing with a niggling injury, or maybe we had to sit him down. But Greg had the confidence to play him. I don't know, man. I feel like he is one of the most important players on our team in terms of scoring goals and unlocking defenses, and I feel like we've been missing that from him, especially in these last 3 draws. So
I'm not worried. I mean, he'd probably have like 8 goals if he hadn't hit the post a bunch of times. He probably should have had another couple of goals last game. I mean, he's getting into good positions. He's going to come good. I'm not worried about him. We do have a question from Tony Toscano who says, "Do the hosts feel that Vanney subbed his players in too early in the second half this game?" Greg addressed that in the presser. Not according to him. I don't think he subbed in too early. I just think it was weird that they went to 5 in the back. It's something that they don't normally do. They're not used to it, and I think they had difficulty kind of adjusting. You saw it on the goal on the set piece. I mean, 2 center backs are in the back. Nobody picks up the free header, and I think that's a direct consequence of, hey, let's go to 5 in the back right now.
Yeah, I can see tactically what Greg was trying to do. He was trying to shut the game down while also conserving some energy too for his, for Ricky and players like that. Remember, this is a really, really tight turnaround. Now we have another, 2 days, full days of rest, and then going into Saturday's match, right? So, I mean, I think, well, let's put it this way, Rob. Like, remember when we were in these positions last year and all of our, like, literally everyone was injured? Like, I don't want to be in that position anymore. And thankfully, I think we have a squad deep enough to, even if the worst case scenario happened. But I see what Greg was trying to do. Unfortunately, just didn't come off. And hindsight, we always say is 2020. But let's talk about that set piece defending, man, while we're on it, because I mean, you have those center backs back there. You've got 3 of them basically right back there. Look, I don't know what it is. I saw a tweet from Sophie the Cannon Nicolau, who's a friend of the show. I saw her. I don't know if she asked Greg the question. I think she did, about should we get a set piece coach? Because
yeah, that was Sophie.
It's getting to that point, man. Like, it's getting to that point. I don't know if it's when it becomes a repeatable pattern like this.
Greg said nail. He just shut it down.
I know, right? But like, this is a problem, man. We've given up. Officially, we've given up, I think, 10 set piece goals. It probably should be 11, like I said, because they don't count that McCarthy own goal off of the set piece.
Or second actions, because the first goal was like a recycling of a set piece.
Right. Or that too. And we've given up 21 goals this year. So, bro, that's half of our goals allowed, Rob, is on set pieces. Right. And Tony said Galaxy, we're definitely not used to 3 center backs being that a goal was allowed. Yeah, but like I said, from open play, I thought we were okay. We snuffed out some actions. I'll pull up the stats in a little bit too, just to show you guys. Like, we weren't awful defensively, but there was just that lapse in concentration off a set piece. And again, I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's mental. I don't know if it's something that we can fix on the training pitch. I don't know if it's personnel. I'll tell you this though, John McCarthy, for all the saves that he's been, pulling off this season so far, he hasn't shown me as a commanding keeper, Rob. Like, meaning like he commands his box. He cuts off crosses. He's a great shot stopper, and the stats prove that. But
that's probably his weakest area.
I think his weakest, well, other than his distribution, right? What did I tell you the last game when we were at the digs? I said this guy should distribute more with his hands than just always be throw. ABT, always be throwing, man, because his kicks are just god awful. And they're
not that bad. He has his gas, but they're not terrible. I mean,
well, let's put it this way: for the way that Greg Vanney wants,
no, he's not the Bings.
Possession based. Well, like I said, he's a good shot stopper. Like, he's a consistent shot stopper, but the other stuff,
but even with distribution, in his box, he's not the Bings. No, I concede that he could be better commanding that box and coming out and just hammering fools, get out of my way. I mean, we've seen him get scored on a couple times just like that now. But no, I don't think that I'm not gonna hold him all the way accountable because it's one of those things that I think the center back should be able to clear as well. Uh,
I don't know. I got to watch the play again. Again, this is raw reactions, right? But in my
yeah.
opinion, I thought he could be more commanding. I got to look at the replay again. I
Hey,
honestly have not.
well, let me ask you about this lineup though. I mean, Greg went with Miguel up top,
Let me pull it up.
maybe hoping to ride that good lightning that he had right at the end of the previous match. And then John Nelson got his first start. Martin gets back into the lineup. So what do you think about this lineup? Chat, were you surprised when Miguel Berry started?
Well, I'm gonna pull up some comments here, Rob. Let the chat speak here. Let them have their say. So, breaking news: Barry had another stinker. Do you guys think Dejan will start against Charlotte? Simply put, I think he will. I think Greg, again, as he's trying to manage his minutes, he's just coming back from an injury, right? We don't want a reoccurrence of that injury. I think he's just being probably more cautious. But it's clear, man, when we have Dejan, you see the difference, right? You see the difference in our interplay. The way Dejan takes his first touch, his attacking positions are just much more they're just much more deadly, and he's a more intelligent player. This is not a knock on Berry, but he's just a more intelligent player than Miguel Berry, which is why I think Miguel Berry is better off of the bench. Yeah. Well, you know what? So, Rob, one thing I have to say is I was kind of upset that Apple TV did not have the option for Joe Tutino's radio coverage.
That's shade.
I mean, what the heck? Like, they only had Minnesota's radio coverage, but they did not have Joe Tutino, right? The voice of the Galaxy. So I literally was on my phone. I turned off the sound. I muted my TV, and I had Joe next to him, next to me as the play-by-play. And he made a great point on one of Barry's last touches of the game. Instead of taking it away from the defender forward, he took his first touch backwards so the defense could recover. Whereas in that position, he was in between the two center backs. All he had to do is, Dejan does this really well at times. He takes that first touch forward, and the second shot is a strike, right? Instead, Miguel Berry takes the touch backwards, and it's just those little things, man. He's just not as technically good. And yeah, he had a stinker.
Well, our friend Matthew Comments 96 is on fire in the chat. Shout out. Thank you guys for all being here. Executive producer Herb taking the moment graciously. Thank you he says, show love to Nanda and Rob. That's me and your co-host right here. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe. Yeah, do that. That would show lots of love. We would love you. I think when I saw earlier today or yesterday, we were like at 198. So maybe you'll be the one that gets us at 200. Hopefully, hearts. Executive producer Herb says, hit the like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Just like the Galaxy, they're working on short rest after that huge show with Joe Tutino. It's true. All the emotions of that Joe Tutino episode are still flowing through us, and then we'll be right back with you guys tomorrow for our game preview for Charlotte. So yeah, we're working just as hard as the Galaxy, if anything, on the mic right now. But anyway, guys, there's Bobby Bronson's asking, is Dejan just proving he's a super sub playing off the bench like this? Ananda, you want to take this one?
No, I had the last one. Why don't you take this one, Papa?
Nah, he needs to start when he's available.
I agree. I think he needs to start. And then Matthew too, this is a great point. Another sort of like thing that I've been thinking about is Championship can get goals from corners, free kicks when they can't dominate a game. It's a dimension we're missing. And on top of that, I go back to, offense wins games, but defense wins championships. And this is our problem. Rob, you and I are in a few group chats. And one of my group chats, we were talking about just the LAFC getting Giroud, and we need another striker. Like, we need more attacking potency. And I said, you guys, we're actually leading the Western Conference in goals this year, or so far this year, at 25. The problem is the defense. We've given up 21 goals. That's the most out of anyone in the top six in the Western Conference. And that is the issue, Rob, that we're just giving up way too many goals. So like I said, defense was championships, man. That's been the big Achilles heel.
Maybe Ann says, out at playing with minor injuries is what I was told at the game. Basically, everybody who was benched is carrying some kind of injury. Makes sense. That they would sit then, especially because they're Charlotte on Saturday. Yeah, man. So it's something that we talked about. They played a pretty terrible first half. You were gonna show the stat right here. You actually brought it up, but they played a pretty terrible first half, and they dug themselves into a hole once again. But then once again, they showed the resiliency to come back. People will be like, they started terrible, but it's a game of 90 minutes. So I was stressing at the end of the first half. And then I realized, okay, it's a game of 90 minutes. And so did this team. And they came out much better in the second half. And they did what they needed to do to get back in the game. So I think, for as much as we're criticizing, we got to give them their flowers too, because, this team last year would have just rolled over again, been like, we're not creating anything and hang their heads and it's done. John Patty says, sorry, let's stop accepting this draw on the road mentality. Home versus road doesn't matter. Yeah, no, I mean, low key, I agree, but at the same time, like I just said, this team goes down 1-0, no shots, and I think they lose. I think they did well to come back. I think they just messed up and shooting themselves in the foot again with a set piece goal.
Yeah. I want to address this too, because I think it's interesting. I'm kind of caught in between two minds, but I'm going to side with the latter, what I'm going to say, which is I think points on the road, or points in general, like if you can get any points in this league, especially early on in the season, you bank them, right? The problem is we should have had 3 points instead of 1 point.
Right.
And that's an issue, right? But if you can't win it, you don't lose it, especially in this league when you're trying to get seedings. I mean, this is just the way this league works, right? It's a very, very long, arduous season for MLS, especially on top of the Leagues Cup and all that stuff. But I will agree with John on this. And this is a point that Joe made a couple nights ago, and it's really stuck with me, man, which is like, there's no debate. This team is back when we win championships. So this sort of like, let's stop accepting this draw on the road mentality. I think it speaks to a larger point around just mentality and a championship mentality.
Standard.
This team, it's a standard, right? And it's the gold standard of this team.
I agree.
Of the LA Galaxy. The issue is, though, for me, we're not there yet. Like, I think we're far from it. We're just sort of in that rebuild phase. We're just kicking it off. And I feel like this team is going to need time to gel and figure out ways to win, figure out ways to get 3 points instead of 1 on the road, stop conceding stupid set piece goals, etc. So for me, I'm going to have the patience and to give it time, but John Patty's point is well taken. And I agree with it.
Yeah, no, I mean, not wrong. Well, this one does end 2-2. The Galaxy did have a chance to win it, and like you said, they that's where the issue lies. But they were 1-0 down at the half, no shots on goal, and then this match turns for you. Oh, well, I'm just gonna let you know. I feel like Diego Fagundes turned this match. But what was it for you, chat? What was it for you? When do you guys think the game kind of turns there for the Galaxy?
Yeah, Diego was that was the first sub, right, for Paintsil in the minute 50 some odd, and then we brought in Dejan. We brought in Decky, which I think was a big boost as well. And then, man, it's crazy because the Galaxy have a habit of doing this. And this is a positive that I'll take away from this match, which is, in the face of adversity, we have the capability of scoring goals in bunches. And especially when you get Ricky, like that Ricky Puig on fire, just cutting through defenses and playing the way he did in that sort of 10, 20-minute stretch when we got those 2 goals. We're a hard team to beat. And so we have that ability, but it goes back to the point earlier.
Dejan could have made it 3-1.
He could have made it 3-1. 3-1 at that point. But it goes back to the earlier point though about, I think it was Gary that mentioned we haven't made a complete performance for 90 minutes, and that's the issue,
a full 90.
Right? But we are a dangerous team, and we know that. So it's you take the positive with the negatives, I guess.
Well, we did promise this would be a La Cunita, even though we would love to be here all night with you guys and doing group therapy. We do have some performers, some stand-up performers here for defending the badge. Of course, you have Ricky. He had an assist, 71 of 83 passes, 14 passes in the final third, 6 recoveries. You have Decky with a goal, 2 clearances and a recovery. He scored his 30th career LA Galaxy goal tonight and also played his 100th game for the Galaxy. interestingly enough, Ananda, his first game was for the Galaxy was in Minnesota. He had an assist in that one, and today he plays his 100th game against Minnesota away as well, and he scores his 30th career Galaxy goal. So congratulations to him. Gabriel Peck got involved again. He had an assist, 3 recoveries, 2 interceptions, and 3 take-ons. And of course, you have Dieguito with his goal. That's Diego Fagundes, 11 of 14 accurate passes, 3 total shots, 3 recoveries, and he is, ever so closer to being a part of that 80-80 club, 80 goals, 80 assists. Something you said earlier stuck with me because Diego kind of said it as well. Diego said this is a really important point, even though that, yes, he felt just like Dejan, who spoke as well, said they should have won this game. It was unequivocal. They said we should have won this game. We could have won this game. He said that every point does matter. You gotta bank them, especially towards the end of the season when they've had a League's Cup come under them already. They have a ton of matches under their legs already. These points do matter. So Nanda, for you, who's your defending the badge winner?
Man, this is a tough one. I mean, I'll say this, Rob. I'll say Ricky was the player of the match, but my defending the badge is Diego Fagundes. He only came on for a cameo, right, in a substitute appearance, but you figure, the pressure on this guy coming in for JP, who is he's our star, right? He's one of our main stars. Diego is that first attacker off the bench, and I thought he played well, man. I thought he played within himself. I saw the effort as well, and in fact, credit to Gabriel Peck because I thought his effort in the first half defensively was really good as well. He tracked back quite a bit. Diego did that as well for me, at least in his cameo. And you know what, man? He's just a smart player, and he knows where to be at the right time. He's got really good chemistry with Ricky. Came up with a big goal. To be fair, he could have had another one too, if not for, I think, just maybe a little bit of a heavy first touch, letting the defender come back. He could have had 2, and I thought he would have 2. But we've said it from the beginning of the season. He's an important
said that as well.
He's a very important player for us, especially against that first attacker off the bench. And like you and I have been saying, you and I. There we go. That's the first one.
That's a shot.
There we go.
Yeah.
Haven't had that one in a while.
Got him, coach.
We've been saying from the beginning of the season, he's looked great. He's ready for the season. He's fit. He looks sharp. He just needs to be given, in my opinion, a little more playing time. And Joe Totino said it on the last show, Rob. When you're coming in on these substitute appearances, especially as an attacker, you only have a finite amount of minutes to really make your impact on the match, right? He was talking about it in the context of Miguel Berry, but in this case for Diego Fagundes, he made his impact on the match. He scored his goal, and for him, I got to give him his roses. And just you talk about defending the badge. You talk about defending the badge and always like representing the badge with pride.
Yeah.
With fighting blood, sweat, and tears for that shirt. I think Diego, especially with his mentality that he's showing me off the bench in this particular match, that's why I'm giving him my defending the badge. But like I said, Ricky, he's a player of the match, man. I can't deny it. Like when Ricky's like that, he's absolutely on fire.
I mean, first goal, Ricky to Peck to Dejan, so he gets a hockey assist. Second goal is this purely him just driving through the heart of the Minnesota defense and laying off to Diego. So yeah, I think if we're looking at just actions, yeah. But I mean, I agree with you. Diego's my defending the badge as well. I mean, just like he came on and Gary Cambron says Fagundes lit the fire under this team's ass. Yeah, I agree. The team looked different. I think Minnesota makes a tactical blunder in subbing their front line out. They lost a lot of speed, but we took advantage of it. So Vanney made the correct tactical substitutions. Minnesota did not. So anyway, where does that leave the LA Galaxy, people? Through 13 matches played in 2024, they have a 5-2-6 record. They have 21 points. They're in 5th place in the Western Conference. There are 4 teams on 21 points, however. They are tied on 21 points with Minnesota, LAFC, and Colorado. They are tied for 8th in the Supporter Shield standings, tied really for fifth with all those teams that I just listed for you in the West. They're still in the conversation for the Supporter Shield, but they are starting to lag behind. Still 7 points back from Miami. They do have a game in hand, and they're coming up on 1.62 points per game. Coming up, Ananda, we're still on the road. The Galaxy travel to Charlotte, the Queen City, on Saturday, May 18th at 4:30 p.m. Of course, we will have a game preview for you tomorrow night. So go ahead and hang with us tomorrow night at 9 p.m. We'll bring you everything you need to know ahead of that Charlotte match. Ananda, anything to add before we get on out of here, or would you like to give the last word to chat once more, and of course to the Galaxy community on X, because they did have a couple of things that I thought were interesting out there. So you want to start with Galaxy community on X?
Yeah, go ahead, because I'm not seeing that screen right now. So go ahead, and then I'll leave the last word with the folks here in chat. I'll give them the last word.
Well, I was gonna read it off your screen. So we're very professional on this pod.
Got
everybody.
it. Oh, I do have it. Okay, that's what you meant. So here we go.
Yes, here we go. All right, so we have the Hammer, the Portuguese Hammer, says close enough. LA Galaxy prayer circle. Vanney three-game draw streak. That's a callback to Greg not getting a three-win streak yet in his Galaxy career. One of my colleagues, Damon Calhoun, says whispers LA Galaxy haven't won a game since April 21st. Just saying. That one hurts. It's been a little while. Yeah, it's been a little while, especially when they had a chance to win it tonight. Melvin says the first half was a complete disaster. The LA Galaxy managed to come back in the second half, but they kept screwing up repeatedly. The passing was atrocious, and some players seemed to get ridiculously distracted. I'm fed up with these ties, echoing what some of you in the chat are saying. We need to start winning again.
Yep.
VGN says set piece defense has got to be the single biggest issue with this team. It's so glaring, so many points threatened or lost on them. Josh Guessman at corner of the Galaxy, the Podfather, says Galaxy have played 8 away games in the first 13 games. In the Western Conference, they are one of 3 teams to play 8 on the road. They have the best record of any of those teams. Only New York Red Bulls in the Eastern Conference has a better record with 8 games on the road, 23 points. And of course, we'll end there with Zero Cool. Chris Tucker out there on the Carolinas, your 2 center backs losing their man on a corner kick when you've had set piece issues all season. Yep. I see it. I see it for sure. Those are all valid points and things to think on.
And the GIF is it's obviously not interactive, but it's Greg saying this is BS. Fill in the blanks. So
bull honky.
Exactly.
Bull dookie.
Exactly. And really quick, I always leave the last word to chat. So I'm just looking at some of these comments here. Let's see. So these are I'm gonna leave you guys with these. Gary says this defense just has mental lapses at the most inopportune moments that ends up screwing us, and they do this consistently. It's a shame to go up 2-1 and not even be excited because this defense. Agreed. Leo says we need to start winning. It's going to be a repeat of last year that having so many draws hurt us. Last year, if we had 2 more wins than draws, we could have been in the playoffs. Absolutely. Let's see what else.
X Prod Herb says, at what point do we start demanding Pack to show consistency? I think he's showing better consistency. I mean, an assist today, a goal last game. I think he's going to get there. X Prod Herb, keep the faith. I have faith in those 2 wingers. I have faith in those 2 boys. They're going to come good.
Yep. And yeah, so there you go.
Well, I think we promised that this would be a La Cunita. Tony, we missed you guys we missed you guys here in our home. So exactly. We said that we would do an instant reaction, and of course it would have been kind of hard to get everything ready and stuff like that. But
it would have been fun. It would have been fun to do it at the York, but we're not technologically.
Oh yeah, we don't have game like that for sure. We don't know how to do that, but it would have been great to do it at the York. But yeah, we missed you guys as well. For those of you that don't know, the York is now the Galaxy bar of choice in Pasadena, Highland Park, Glendale area. So go ahead and check out the York. And there's going to be a bunch of watch parties this weekend as well. So go ahead and watch your socials for where those are going to be at. We'll also show them tomorrow in tomorrow's pod where some of those will be at. So I think with that, Ananda, we'll get on out of here. Of course, if you're here, you found us on youtube.com/@Lacuna Galaxiana. Thank you so much for being with us for another episode and giving us how you feel, getting all those feelings off your chest about this Galaxy 2-2 draw against Minnesota. We'll be back with you tomorrow night, May 16th at 9 p.m. where we'll bring you what you need to know ahead of Charlotte. And now there's only one thing left to say besides thank you, and that's G's up.